Muans floated in the air with her eyes closed, continuing to slowly guide her magic. The magic circle beneath her feet resonated once again with her power. The flame magic surrounding her gradually dissipated, and then blue lightning bolts began to appear around her one after another. These bolts quickly covered the remaining flames and emitted dazzling light. The symbol of the thunder element appeared at the center of the magic circle. Upon witnessing this miraculous scene, both Rosewise and Anna were stunned. Thunder element. This was actually a dual element awakening. Leon didn't react as strongly as Rosewise and Anna, as if he had already expected Muan to face such a situation. He was extremely pleased that Muan had awakened two elements, and felt deeply proud of her. As the youngest daughter of the strongest dragon slayer and the Silver Dragon Queen, she was destined for an extraordinary life. Possessing the rare dual-element magic recorded only in ancient books, her future was truly immeasurable. The blue lightning around Muan gradually faded. In the golden magic circle beneath her feet, the thunder symbol transformed into a standard magic circle pattern, and its glow slowly weakened. Muan withdrew her magic and gently descended to the ground. This signified the end of her magical enlightenment ceremony. Muan opened her eyes and smiled brightly. From the ceremony, she clearly understood that she had awakened both fire and thunder elements. Filled with joy, Muan ran toward Leon and Rosewise, her heart overflowing with happiness. She excitedly spoke to them. "Dad, Mom, did you see it? Muan can use two elements. Now you don't have to argue anymore, right?" She raised her hands and waved them lightly, happily sharing the good news. Muan recalled how Leon and Rosewise had argued about which element she would awaken. Since she had awakened both fire and thunder at the same time, Muan believed there was no reason for them to argue anymore. Hearing her words, Leon and Rosewise were both surprised. They hadn't expected Muan to work so hard just to stop them from arguing over her. Silently, they thought to themselves that she had truly gone to great lengths to prevent her parents from arguing. At that moment, Leon secretly touched Rosewise's arm. Rosewise lowered her head and noticed Leon's subtle movement, instantly understanding his intention. She leaned closer to him and gently placed her hand on his chest. Leon immediately wrapped an arm around Rosewise's waist. They pretended to be very affectionate and smiled warmly at Muan, not wanting her to feel disappointed by their reaction. Leon said to Muan, "We're extremely happy. How could we argue?" Rosewise nodded lightly in agreement. "That's right. Dad and Mom are very happy for you." Leon gently lifted Muan into his arms. He carried her toward the auditorium entrance, along with Rosewise and Anna. To celebrate Muan's successful completion of the enlightenment ceremony in her dual elements, Rosewise decided they would hold a celebration that night. Muan happily raised her hand and said, "Yeah, Muan wants to eat steak." Leon immediately volunteered to cook for the evening. He closed his eyes and said confidently, "Leave it to me." It was already evening. The moon slowly rose into the sky, casting a faint glow over the night. The maids of Silver Dragon Castle lit the rooms, bringing warmth and light inside. From afar, the castle shone brightly, as if celebrating Muan's achievement. That night, Leon used his cooking skills to prepare many of Muan's favorite dishes. One exquisite plate after another was placed on the dining table. There were grilled steaks, roasted chicken, grilled oysters, and fresh vegetable salad. The steaks were topped with Leon's rich sauce and finished with rosemary to enhance the aroma. The roasted chicken was beautifully colored and appetizing, while each oyster was covered in fragrant garlic sauce. The vegetable salad included lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and more, colorful, nutritious, and refreshing. Muan happily picked up a steak with her fork and began eating. Leon, seated beside her, took another steak and carefully cut it into small pieces for her. He said, "Muan did great today. Eat more steak so you can grow stronger." Muan nodded while chewing and thanked him. This is delicious. Thank you, Dad." At that moment, Muan suddenly picked up two large chicken legs beside the roasted chicken. She wanted to express her gratitude to Leon and Rosewise for their care and support during her magical training. Holding up the chicken legs, she said, "Dad and Mom have worked hard too. Muan rewards you with big chicken legs." She placed one chicken leg onto Leon's plate. "This is for Dad." Then Muan walked over to Rosewise and placed the other chicken leg onto her salad plate. "This is for Mom." Seeing how considerate Muan was, Rosewise reached out and gently stroked her head. She smiled contentedly and said, "Okay, thank you, Muan." However, when Rosewise looked at the chicken leg on her plate, she frowned slightly and soon showed a hint of sadness. She picked up her knife and fork, but didn't eat the chicken leg, appearing somewhat troubled. After hesitating for a while, Rosewise finally picked up some vegetable salad and began eating. Leon noticed her unusual behavior while eating his own food and silently questioned it. What's going on? The she-dragon is eating very little tonight. She didn't even touch the meat. Leon found her behavior strange. He leaned closer and asked softly, "Hey, I didn't put any cilantro in tonight's dishes. Why do you still look like you can't eat?" He was sure none of the food included ingredients she disliked. Hearing Leon's words, Rosewise closed her eyes and showed a slightly uncomfortable expression. I might just be having some stomach discomfort." After hearing this, Leon thought for a moment and seemed to immediately understand what was going on. He joked, "Are you trying to lose weight?" At his words, Rosewise's face instantly turned red. She turned her head away, not wanting him to see her embarrassment. She stammered, "How could that be? I've only gained a little weight recently. I only weigh a bit over 100 pounds. Upon seeing Rosewise's reaction, Leon genuinely thought she was secretly losing weight. He gave a mocking smile and said, "Girls under 100 pounds are either flat-chested or too short overall. If you keep losing weight, you'll end up looking like a washboard." Rosewise felt extremely unhappy about Leon's words. She forcefully stabbed the chicken leg on her plate with the fork in her hand. Almost immediately, she came up with a way to counterattack. She picked up the plate of grilled oysters on the table and dumped all of them onto Leon's plate. One roasted oyster even slipped off and fell beside the plate. It was clear that she was truly angry. Staring at the pile of grilled oysters, Leon was stunned. Rosewise closed her eyes, looking very satisfied with what she had done. Leon couldn't understand what she meant by this. He pointed at the oysters and asked in a slightly angry tone, "What are you doing?" At the same time, Muan, who was sitting next to Leon, was still happily eating the food on her plate. She propped her face up with both hands, wearing a delighted expression. "The meat is really delicious." Rosewise gave Leon a mischievous smile and kindly explained, "I heard these things are very beneficial for men's health. Eat them all. Don't sleep until you finish." Rosewise slammed both hands on the table and ordered Leon to finish the entire plate of grilled oysters tonight. Leon was completely shocked by her actions. Huh? He couldn't understand how a simple joke had made Rosewise so angry. He was clearly dissatisfied with her behavior. He shouted helplessly, "Aren't you trying to keep me awake all night?" Juan didn't seem to care about their argument at all. She picked up a steak from her plate and took a bite. She happily shook her hands, fully immersed in the joy brought by the delicious food. It had been 2 days since Muan completed her magical enlightenment ceremony, and today was another bright, sunny day. The sun slowly rose into the sky. The darkness of the night had completely dissipated, revealing a light blue sky. Sunlight bathed the silver dragon castle, coating it in a golden glow. Not far away, several birds flew over the castle garden, chirping crisply and reminding everyone inside that it was time to wake up. Rosewise was already awake. She left her room and headed to her office. She couldn't help but yawn. As if she hadn't slept enough, Rosewise flipped through the books on her desk, hoping to wake herself up by reading. However, it didn't take long before drowsiness returned. She rested her cheek on one hand to keep herself from falling asleep. At that moment, Anna walked into the office holding today's schedule. Rosewise gently rubbed her temples and asked, "Anna, what do I need to do today?" Anna glanced at the list and replied respectfully, "In the morning, Your Majesty needs to review letters and documents from other dragon clans. In the afternoon, you are scheduled to inspect the arsenal. Are there any additional arrangements?" Rosewise rubbed her temples again, then her forehead. Her head felt dizzy, and her body unusually tired. She felt she was in no condition to work. I'll take care of everything tomorrow," she said. "I'm a bit tired today and want to take a day off." Anna was surprised to hear this. In her heart, Anna thought, a workaholic for years, and Her Majesty actually wants to rest? Has the sun risen from the west? In her memory, Rosewise worked tirelessly almost every day and rarely took leave on her own initiative. Anna worried Rosewise might still try to handle urgent matters during her break. Rosewise looked up and said, "If there are any urgent matters—" "No, please rest well," Anna quickly replied. Holding the list tightly, she turned around and hurried out of the office, afraid Rosewise might change her mind. Anna hoped Rosewise would cherish today and rest properly without being disturbed by work. Watching Anna leave in a rush, Rosewise felt a little puzzled, but she didn't bother to ask. Rosewise stood up, stretched, and yawned again. She felt something was off about her mental state today. This is really strange. I went to bed early last night. Why am I still so groggy? Unable to understand it, she opened the office window, letting the breeze flow in to clear her mind. At that moment, she noticed Leon and Muan sitting on the nearby lawn. Leon sat across from Muan, seemingly explaining something. Rosewise thought to herself, is he teaching Muan magic? Leon raised a finger and gently waved it, seriously instructing Muan on techniques for using lightning magic. Muan listened attentively, nodding from time to time to show she understood. After finishing the explanation, Leon asked, Muan, I just explained many characteristics of thunder magic. Do you remember them? Muan nodded. Yes, Dad. She lowered her head slightly, resting one hand on her chin as she recalled what he had said. Thunder magic excels at both single target and area attacks, while balancing offense and defense. Master thunder magic and you can face any challenge across the lands. Leon was pleased and praised her. That's right. You remembered it very well. At that moment, Rosewise walked out of her office and onto the lawn. She had already heard Muan's explanation. She asked Leon, why do you only teach thunder magic and not fire magic? Noticing Rosewise watching, Muan became very excited. Mom! She ran over and hugged Rosewise tightly around the waist, smiling brightly. Mom, let me tell you. Thunder magic is really powerful. Dad specializes in thunder magic. Muan was surprised to learn that Leon's abilities were tied to lightning. Leon smiled proudly. I just taught her some basic techniques. Then he said, Muan, show Mom. Okay, Dad, Muan replied happily. She stepped back a short distance from them and stood on the lawn. She closed her eyes and stretched out her hands. Hey! Blue lightning sparks appeared around her palms. The lightning wrapped around her hands, emitting a bright glow. Hey! She quickly gathered the energy, forming 2 blue lightning spheres. The 2 orbs collided, producing a sharp sizzling sound. The glow of the lightning illuminated Muan's joyful face. Rosewise watched in amazement. She hadn't expected Muan to manipulate magical forms so skillfully already. After only 2 days since her awakening, Muan had already grasped the transformations of magical energy.